Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Group Chat. We are fresh off of a live show. We're feeling good. I think we got a little bit of new mojo.
New mojo. The comedy tour has just begun.
The comedy tour. We're switching. We've decided we're going to switch the category that we are registered under.
Yeah.
In the podcast section. And we're going to just think of ourselves a little bit differently.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not? So we learned a lot. And we have a lot to talk about today. Anand came in just ranting and raving about Joe Rogan something. So we're going to learn about
conspiracies, Joe Rogan.
No conspiracy.
About anti-COVID, anti-vax, I think he said. He's talking about elk hunting. It was really interesting. So we're going to find out what he's so fired up about. On the realm of conspiracies, John McAfee passed away. They're saying by suicide. Some people are saying not so much.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about all that. And then we have a bunch of other news stories to go over to lead you into the weekend. And, you know, it's opening weekend for Dee's favorite movie. So I hope everyone can celebrate with him and go check it out. And if anyone has a pirated link, send it on over to Dee because he doesn't like theaters. Who's ready?
I guess we are.
Guys,
let's
Jesus
go.
Christ, all right. There we go. Group chat.
Cash.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, Group Chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
I kind of remember what it feels like to be a celebrity again.
It was nice.
Very nice. You're in the crowd, roaring.
Roaring.
They missed us.
I think we're basically kind of stand-up comedians that may occasionally inform you of some information.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know what category. I don't know what category we're in. That's true. Honestly, informer.
Yeah.
But I don't know what category the podcast is in. I think we should switch it to comedy.
Yes.
And I'll tell you,
there's way more money in comedy.
Way more money in comedy. Also, way less risk of getting canceled.
Yeah.
Because like, hey, we're telling you up front.
Yeah.
You know.
This is jokes.
Yeah, jokes.
Jokes are jokes.
If
Jokes
you think
are
about it,
jokes.
Chappelle talks about serious issues in the form of comedy.
Yeah, but he's a comedian, so you can't do anything.
But it's a way better category to be in because
I think we're comedians.
I'll give you the take. The next day, you know, my mom comes over with her cousin who was there.
Our cousin.
Yeah, our cousin, yeah. So what did everyone say about your comments? And I go, what comments?
Yep.
And she goes, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So did my cousin. And I saw J-Dub, who was there, who DJ'd after at the Soho House with us. He's like, I love your takes on sports. So I got, and what's crazy was, so this is what I was thinking in the back of my head.
Okay. You're talking about the weightlifter.
The weightlifter.
Okay.
New Zealand weightlifter.
Yep.
Which I found out that Caitlyn Jenner doesn't even support this.
Caitlyn Jenner doesn't support trans athletics.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of trans people also, like this, Caitlyn Jenner lives in, I think, in a weird area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's called Malibu.
It's called way up in the hill, alone in Malibu. Yeah.
And so, you know, I started thinking about like, because everyone was coming up to us afterwards. They're so funny, so cool, so good. And everyone said so funny, so entertaining, right? And I was thinking to myself, like, okay, let's say I said something that got me canceled.
Yep.
And I was thinking about it from the perspective of like, what would be my route of kind of redemption?
Okay.
Do I say it's comedy?
Yep.
And say, dude, we're here to entertain people and got a discussion, right? Or the other option I was thinking was go full MAGA.
Oh, just lean in.
Lean in, go MAGA, and then MAGA, there's a lot of unity in MAGA.
Oh, once you're in.
Yeah, they don't cancel each other.
Especially, I feel like they actually really love not white people.
Yes.
Because they're like, okay,
we got one of you.
We got one. So if you can turn 10 more, we're on to something.
So I was like, my mom was like, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go full MAGA then.
That's what you said to your mom.
This is last night? Oh, so she was genuinely concerned.
And I
that sounds like when a kid says, like, I'm running away.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, I'm going MAGA, Mom. That's the
I'm going to go where I'm appreciated.
Yeah. I don't need this. You liberal
It's funny
snowflake.
'cause I saw my mom before she saw Dee for a couple hours, and she's like, "Did Dee get a lot of comments?" And I was still like kind of confused. I was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "For the same issue,
the thing,
yeah, the thing."
yeah.
And she didn't ask if I got comments. She specifically asked.
Well,
if Dee
obviously,
got comments.
We also put Dee on blast.
Yeah.
You know, like I fully.
He chose the topic. Let's be clear.
You're right. But I leaned out of that one. I let Dee take all the fire.
I picked, just so people know, like, I picked it intentionally because I knew it would be entertaining.
I just want to say that I actually, in all seriousness, I think preferably you getting sort of mini canceled would be the best thing that could happen to the podcast.
Yeah.
You go
Because
viral.
like, look, is anyone going to boycott your clothes and stuff? No, you don't say anything that crazy.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a lot of attention. They're going to be like, who's this crazy dude that everyone's fired up about?
Who's this right-wing Indian?
Who's this crazy far-right Indian? I think that'd be really good for us.
Yeah. I mean,
So I say keep pushing it.
okay.
I mean, I was telling you years ago,
Yeah.
cool MAGA doesn't exist. You
Oh,
could be
yeah.
it. Tatted up, cool guy, Hollywood.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the equivalent of like the Hollywood preacher.
Like streetwear MAGA.
Yeah.
They
It's
have
like
me.
Bieber's priest, right?
Yeah. It's like that guy. It's like, except for he's that for religion. Like,
Yes.
It's also like even like the UFC. There's a guy named Colby Covington. I'm pretty sure that's who it is. Sorry if I'm wrong. That's like full MAGA. So they have like a UFC fighter. Like you need, if you can own an area, obviously you have Candace Owens. You have
Coolest
these
guy they
different-
have is Kid Rock. He's not that cool.
Well, that's just so expected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need a rap music listening.
You got Lil Wayne.
Tattooed.
You got Kodak Black. Kodak
Yeah, but
Black
that's-
is still
Kodak?
pushing.
That was transactional.
Yeah.
That was.
I think
easy
it was
to do.
pretty
And he's still
obvious.
pushing it though.
Yeah.
He's still pushing it.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lane. I just was too scared to take it.
And did we properly introduce Ian Rogers on last episode?
Yeah, he did.
Not really, kind of.
Well, yeah.
I kind of relied on the people who show up to the event knowing who he is.
Yeah. So if you
And
didn't know,
Art Naval.
Yeah, come on.
yeah. So Ian, if you're new to the podcast, Ian is incredible background from Indiana. Ended up part of the starting team at Winamp, then moved to Yahoo Music, president of Beats Music. Then when that sold to Apple, went on to LVMH, was their chief digital officer. And now he's at Ledger.
Yeah, that's the intro we should have done there.
Yes.
Yeah, good call.
And that's why I was like, oh, we just kind of
Yeah, I was
started
like, he's Art
talking.
Naval.
Yeah. And so brilliant guy. And I'll ask him. His daughter was in the crowd.
Yeah.
His daughter is an athlete.
Yeah.
And so they sent me a voice note after the event. Here's my daughter's thoughts on that. Since it's private and she's younger, I'll let, if they're comfortable with it, I'll share it. But it was a very good, I'll tell you, like the way that his daughter thinks is very futuristic.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
After the
I'll play it for you guys because it's just interesting to hear like how thoughtful at that age.
Yeah.
I mean, at 14-year-old, we were pieces of shit.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine how you would have dealt with a transgender weightlifter at 14? You would have been like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They're way
I
more
think-
accepting
And I think, they're very accepting
of all.
of everything.
Yeah.
And I think that to that credit, that's very, very important for society.
I agree.
But yeah, it was interesting just to hear her take on it.
I'd love to hear like a MAGA, because there has to be MAGA 14-year-olds too.
Oh yeah, there is.
I'd like to hear that debate.
I've seen, I've followed a bunch.
I'd like to hear the future of each party. How do you each see it?
Drama wants to hear 2 14-year-olds
I do.
talk about
I do. I
this.
want to hear like a very lenient, more left person, young person, and a MAGA that's like, this is the future I want.
I got in during the election on TikTok. I ended up following
MAGA kids?
and wow, they're scary.
Really?
Yeah.
They're aggressive.
Yeah, aggressive.
There's a lot of anger.
Yeah.
You want to tell you my one takeaway, just being super honest, is one of what I look at is probably one of the scariest things on earth is stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And there was a moment when we haven't been in front of a crowd doing this podcast. I haven't really even been around many crowds yet. And there was a moment when we were up there and we were just doing really well. And people were just laughing. And I was like, shit, this is like this. It, on one hand, feels really good. Like this is crazy. We're kind of doing a stand-up show.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, I was like, this is sketchy.
Yeah.
Like there's a room of people that we're like feeding off of. And like, can we keep this going? Like, what is
you
this?
mean it's like
It felt like I found myself all of a sudden, unexpectedly, in a stand-up routine.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
And you're
I
like
don't know.
doubling down on takes when you saw laughs coming.
Yeah, but I was like, I was both very pumped about it and also like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, how did I end up here? How are we now a stand-up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'd rather say comedy. Then it opens up the language a little bit.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. And if we can do it, I honestly think, I told you guys this after the show, I think there is a show that we can create for live, and it will also help our recorded show, that is a really, really great blend of comedy and actual facts
information
or opinions or whatever that no one's doing.
Yeah.
Like being there, the way people were laughing, and then they would listen for 10 minutes dead silent to you and Ian talk about crypto.
Yeah.
Or they would whatever. And I asked afterwards, I asked a couple people, like, did you think it was like boring when we got to like whatever? And they're like, no, we really enjoyed it. Like it was like a full, like you got sort of like a kind of almost like what you would get at like a Bitcoin conference.
Yeah.
Like a
little bit of everything.
And then you got a comedy show, and then you got some far right stuff. And then you got a little bit of everything.
Well, I think that's fundamentally the flaw in, like, for example, going to a conference or a panel, going to a TED Talk.
Yeah.
I can't listen to these people talk for 90 minutes.
It's hard.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. I don't care how informative it is.
Yeah.
If you're not like, it's why, like, we'll talk about Fast 9, but like this, you need to do Fast 9 with a little bit of information.
Yeah. You need funny explosions, and then you can teach me about like biochemistry.
Yeah.
Got it. I get it. That's why the attention that goes to explosions, sex, fighting, and laughing, as opposed to what goes to like lectures, is very different.
Yeah. I mean, if you really look at the top pieces of entertainment globally, it's pretty light.
It's predictable.
Yeah.
It's Marvel. It's fast.
Yeah. It's funny.
Yeah. I mean, look what everyone's doing right now. They're just fighting each other. Like, fuck it. We've done all this. I don't want to see
the
what
biggest sports star in the country is Sons in 4.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. Oh my God. Okay, well, here we are. And you know what? I'm embracing it. And I feel like we're finding a really nice spot in that world. And if all else fails, we'll fight each other.
Yeah. Maybe at the end of that, every episode.
Yeah. All right, today.
One person in the audience got to fight
Come
one
on
of us.
up. Welcome to Group Chat Fight Club. Before we like start, Anand walked in here. Who would have thought, right? I mean, look at the three of us.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and take the L on this one. Who of the three of us is the diehard Joe Rogan fan?
It looks like you.
Right?
Yeah.
It originally was you.
I fit the bill. It was me. You're right. I kind of like,
you got me on to Joe Rogan.
You're right.
I wasn't listening to Joe until you.
So now I've fallen off a little bit because, to be dead honest, just because of the shift to Spotify. Anand has become like the Joe Rogan dude.
Yeah.
As big of a Joe Rogan fan as it gets. I think he was talking about hunting this weekend.
Yes.
It said something about like elk meat.
And he's worried about my comments.
Yeah.
This guy.
Yeah, this guy, he's going to break his,
I gave up vegetarianism. I'm eating elk.
He eats
this
raw
weekend.
elk now.
And he shoots it with his AR-15.
That's all he does. It's already dead. He just shoots the meat and eats it.
If he sees a dead one, just sprays 6 in it.
Lays a steak on the ground, lights it up, and eats it. He came in here, Anna, you just came in here like ranting and raving, like, oh my God, this new Joe Rogan podcast. It's an emergency podcast. It's blah, blah, blah. And so we made you stop because we're like, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So what happened? This is today?
So I think it was released on Tuesday.
Okay.
So Joe Rogan had a guy named Brett Weinstein, by trade is an evolutionary biologist.
Yep.
And a guy named Dr. Pierre Corey, who is a frontline lung specialist doctor who's been treating COVID-19 patients the entire pandemic. And he's part of another nonprofit that's been just trying to learn about COVID-19 from the beginning and trying to like evolve their thinking on how to treat it and where it comes from.
I believe already with what you just said, I believe we're at risk of getting taken off of YouTube.
So they talked about that.
I really think that might trigger it, but keep going. We don't care.
Yeah. So Brett Weinstein has actually been flagged on YouTube multiple times. So that was how they started.
Yeah.
And so there's two parts of the podcast, which are, I mean, the first part is kind of, we all know that when doctors and scientists are talking about COVID and it's not specifically on the guidelines of CDC and the WHO, you automatically get removed. So there's no open discussion, no ongoing, evolving thinking on how to talk about COVID.
And it's just on the most current, whatever the most current stats are.
Exactly. So whatever CDC and whatever the WHO says, if you don't exactly say what they say, you're taken off YouTube or you're flagged or you're warned. So that's what I learned. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because you're not even allowed to have a discussion about conflicting theories. So that is kind of expected from what we know. And I actually want to bring that up first because I'm curious your guys' take, is that I was thinking about it while I was listening. I was like, would that have happened if we didn't have Trump lying to us daily?
No. Zero chance.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been able to be allowed. We would have been able to talk about the virus openly and actually figure out what the right strategy is.
Yeah.
So 2 parts. Number one, that is 100% the case. But also now we're looking at the reverse effect, which is, okay, but, and we talk about like deplatforming Trump and actually how that's been good in our opinion and stuff like that. But now you're looking at the swing back the other way, which is like, whoa, you don't have to take out everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like this weird thing. But I would think 100% the fact that fake news being reported as truth became so viral under Trump that they put all this stuff in place.
So that in itself is like insane that we weren't able to talk about like professionals who are trained in this, who are the most equipped to actually figure this out because we know the CDC and the WHO were out to lunch.
Yeah.
That's been proven time and time again through the whole pandemic.
We just got taken off. There we go. See you later, YouTube.
And then the second part, this is the explosive thing. I think this has to be the biggest news with regards to COVID that I've heard in ages.
Okay, hit us.
And
this
so
is QAnon.
Yeah. So there's this drug called ivermectin. Okay.
I like the name.
Yeah.
It's been out of patent for years. So meaning there's generics.
Okay.
And the drug was created over 40 years ago. So I learned this all in this Joe Rogan podcast. I'm like 2/3 of the way in. I think it gets a little more explosive in the last third.
Okay.
But this drug apparently in trials has shown to be very effective in treating COVID, even late stage COVID, early stage COVID. So
Fantastic.
What's that?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Here's the issue. It's not being recommended in the US as like a proper therapeutic. So the data that this doctor and this researcher have seen is that ivermectin, if you get tested positive for COVID, you should be on it immediately. Because currently, the outpatient, if you go to the hospital with COVID and you're not on one of those serious drugs, remdesivir, whatever, and that costs $3,000 like a dose or something crazy.
Okay.
The only outpatient drug is Tylenol.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this drug is proven to be effective and it actually like dramatically reduces hospitalizations. So then he brings up, this is actually where it really got me like thinking crazy is in Mexico, apparently they had like a crazy spike. They were just as bad as LA at their peak in terms of hospitalizations, oxygen tanks weren't available and all these different things. They immediately gave the recommendation, you take ivermectin as soon as you test positive. And he said the dose wasn't even that high. Like he goes, me as a doctor, I would recommend a higher dose, but this low dose of ivermectin completely dramatically reduced hospitalizations and deaths. And they were able to open up like clearly. This happened in Argentina. This happening in villages in India right now. These are places
India's reopening.
Sub 5% vaccinations, these countries. And they're able to reopen because the only thing they said to do was to do ivermectin as soon as you test positive, get on a dosage.
And so am I right in thinking that Brett Weinstein first talked about this like on a podcast or something and got it pulled? Is that what happened? Is that the whole scandal here?
So I think he got flagged and he got videos removed. I don't know which ones got removed.
Yeah.
I'm assuming
the word that I heard was that he got like pulled off because of saying that.
And what's insane to me is that we're in a global pandemic where trillions and trillions of dollars are being lost and we're not exploring ideas.
Yeah.
So apparently the US government is investing $3.2 billion right now in therapeutics to treat COVID when these two guys are saying ivermectin's right here. Why are we spending $3 billion of the government to find other therapeutics? So then Brett Weinstein actually brings up a really good point because he's like, I don't think the conversation, because he doesn't want to be the conspirator, because then you're not taken seriously. And he says, I don't think the conversation in the government is basically like, we need to benefit Big Pharma, so let's just ignore ivermectin and give billions and billions of dollars to Big Pharma.
Yeah.
His point is basically like, the government's been trained that Big Pharma is the only one that's right, that independent researchers and independent doctors that come up with something else, they don't even pay attention to. It's just turnkey, whatever Big Pharma says.
Yeah.
So it's not like the government is acting, like this is where I want to get anti-conspiracy. It's not like the government's acting like, hey, like we don't want to help the population.
Yeah, like we got to get this
They're just not even
microchip.
paying attention.
They don't even think.
Yeah.
Which we know is probably what's happening because the government's completely inept in everything we do.
Yeah.
And so if this story continues to, because guess what? The rest of the world is not getting vaccinated at a fast clip.
Yeah.
So if the rest of the world starts, and this has happened in South Africa too, and it's against the variants, ivermectin. It's dramatically reducing hospitalizations. So if this comes out that the rest of the world who's not getting vaccinated, all they have to do is take this like outpatient pill that costs less than $1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
This has to be the biggest news story.
And the conspiracy then
I feel like the
becomes,
Rogan might go missing.
there's too much money in the vaccine business, so we got to shelve all this
The
information.
conspiracy is basically the government's just out to lunch and Big Pharma's just taking advantage.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And then
I don't think the government, I don't think the politicians are like, we need to make sure Pfizer makes all this money. We make sure Moderna. They're like, this is a safe option.
Yeah.
Here's billions of dollars.
I think that makes
I think
perfect
they
sense.
do. I don't. Pharmaceuticals have some of the biggest lobbying in America. You know.
Sure.
So there's a.
But like, I mean, I can't sit here in good faith say if politicians knew there was an alternative drug that was effective, that they knew was effective, they would say, I'd rather give billions and kill people.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Ivermectin.
Yeah, I think that you're right. My guess would be I think that you're just right in terms of like there's one way of doing it,
They're
and that's how they do it.
incompetent,
Like we know how that works in business, right? I mean, I'm trying to give an example, but like think of something where, maybe a major retailer only deals with one thing. And so if you want to work with them, you have to go through that thing because that's the way it works. And they don't feel like dealing with 50 people. They want to deal with one person. So that person has a huge business because you go through them. It's like, I feel like that's just how it is. Like it's just a system. It's not a system based on actually like collecting data and doing the best work for the best price. It's a system of just like, that's how we do it.
Yeah.
There's a problem, they handle it.
And this drug's worked in Mexico, Argentina, South Africa, India.
That's my problem, which we shouldn't go down the road because it'll just take too long. That's my problem with like the conversation about like taxing people more and all this stuff is like that's where it goes. It goes to that type of spending.
Meaning,
Right. The government's just going to line the pockets of Big Pharma as opposed to just, there's this drug that's less than $1.
Yeah, like you're just spending, like it's almost like we're blaming, look, we could do a whole podcast on this, but you're blaming like really rich people and billionaires for not paying more tax, but when you, instead of blaming the people who handle the pre-existing money and how they spend it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's too hard to expect the government to actually be productive in allocating capital. It's too hard.
Yep.
It's too much money.
But that's what everyone thinks they do. That's the problem. The problem is a lot of people think that the government does that really well.
I don't think so.
I think they do. I think everyday people, that's why they think like, yeah, taxes and tax those people more and just tax. These people shouldn't have all the money. Tax them. Give it to the government because they're going to do great programs. They're going to do all these things. They're going to do it. And like, there's a lot of shit wasted. There are some great programs, but there's a lot of money.
Yeah, there's a lot
lit
of
on
waste.
fire.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of great programs out there, but things aren't just done efficiently.
I mean, just at the basic route, I live in a pretty nice area. And when I take the stroller out with Mav, like you can't even walk on the sidewalk uninterrupted.
No.
There's like, boom, like, sidewalks
people?
like completely like bumps and this and that. You have to you have to like navigate.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, if you gathered at complete random a sample of 10 Americans and asked them what percentage of COVID relief bills went to people's pockets and what percentage went to like those other weird things that had nothing to do with COVID, I don't think people would get anywhere near guessing that percentage.
Yeah.
I think people think 90% went to COVID relief.
Yeah.
I just think that's the assumption.
Interesting.
Anywho, okay, well, I guess,
So do you think this story is going to get bigger or get squashed?
I think because it's on Joe Rogan, mainstream media will not cover it because they don't like him.
They'll just say it's conspiracy theory.
my forecast, I think it follows the Josh Rogan train.
Eventually they'll take credit for it, but Joe Rogan actually broke it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Josh Rogan, poor guy, is not getting any credit for the Wuhan leak.
Or Joe, really? Like no one says like this was broke on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
They're just like, hey, did you guys hear?
Yeah.
Here we are reporting exclusively
By
on
the way,
CNN.
the 100 million listeners that listen to Joe Rogan.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it'll be kind of similar. I think it's a little bit more obscure, so it won't like Wuhan lab leak is so juicy that like people you can grab onto that really easily. It's great news.
This is pretty juicy. We had a drug that could have saved millions of lives, but we just didn't use it.
I agree. I just think it's kind of like
That was readily available?
It's just obscure enough.
But when did they find that out that it was readily available? What
So
month?
the doctor on the pod, the lung doctor, says starting in May, he saw like trials that this should be used, and he was just stonewalled.
So right away.
Yeah,
Instantly.
within 2 months.
Yeah, got it.
But that's also what Trump did. He created two different teams. He created you weren't allowed to actually think.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed to actually like evolve your thinking.
Yeah.
Because if you evolved your thinking from the left, you become MAGA. And if you're MAGA and you evolve your thinking to the more center, you're a bitch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep. I agree. We'll see what happens because I would love to say that there's like a rebound from this and there is like we're like, oh yeah, we did make some huge mistakes. Let's work together a little bit more. But I just feel like it continues to divide. I feel like eventually we just split into two. That's really what I'm
2 countries.
yeah.
The divided states of America.
They're probably really extreme on each side though, huh?
The only funny thing about the pod was that the lung doctor had a wicked cough.
No.
You can't, that kind of ruins his credibility.
Good for your brain.
I mean, you can't even fix your cough.
And Rogan was like, "You have COVID, bro?" And he's like, "I'm joking. We tested everyone before we got here."
Oh my God.
It was pretty funny, though.
That's bad for the brand.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, that's not very credible.
Well, let's see what happens. All right, news time. We're back. Everything's back. We're booming. You know, in LA, I was shocked. I know I was complaining like on the 15th, but on the 15th, things switched. I've been to multiple restaurants and stuff now. It feels pretty normal. There's only a few places that have asked me to put on a mask still, like, you know, private businesses or whatever. Feels open. And guess what is back and booming like never before? The cruise lines.
Carnival Cruises is booking volume on future cruises were up 45% on a quarter-over-quarter basis.
I'll tell you what, in America, you can't take our guns and you can't take our cruises.
No, and Carnival Cruises lost $2 billion last year. And obviously that's just an enormous amount of money. And, they lost $2 billion for the second quarter of 2021.
And the fact they even make that much money in the first place is insane.
But year over year, from today, the stock's up 62%.
Yes, that's all that matters.
I wonder where you, like, do you try to get that money back by, like, baking in some new margin in some places? Like the all-you-can-eat buffet isn't all-you-can-eat anymore? Or do you just take the L and
I think you do take the L, but a company like Carnival, you know, some of these, even what we talked about with Soho House, the next 5 years is going to be bananas.
Yeah.
You should make up, if you lost a few billion last year, you should probably make up all of that in the next 5 years.
Remember those terrible cruises that, sorry if any of our friends are listening, that had a part in it, that were really popular and probably will be again, that were like the house, like Diplo had a cruise and like Steve Aoki had a cruise.
Yeah.
Gronk.
That's how the Gronk cruise. That's how I picture the first wave of Carnival cruises.
Yeah.
I just feel like people are going to lose their fucking minds.
I mean, what the video that's going to come out soon
yeah,
will be the fight on the cruise.
guaranteed.
And the most epic fight
Like
where like
slipping
people are
on the deck.
flying off.
Yeah.
You think
And just-
someone gets thrown into sea?
100%.
I feel like
the
you
Sunset
die.
4 guy should do a cruise.
He should. You just, whenever you see him, try to fight him if you want. And he's taking all.
And he's just chucking people across.
I think it's coming, man. Everything I've heard, I was talking to Deluxe and J-Dub, and they said that like clubs, especially Deluxe going to like Miami and stuff, he's like, it's been insane. It's been like the craziest year of Art Basel every night.
And you know, Eric mentioned, Eric Deluxe is a popular DJ and close friend of ours. And they were talking amongst the other DJs that are all kind of doing these big venues all over the country that the crowd is just very aggressive.
Yes.
Like, play this song, do this,
Yeah.
do that. Like, obviously that's normal for a DJ, but he's like, the way that people are acting is so aggressive that it doesn't feel comfortable.
I mean, I don't think he'll care if we share this, but Eric said he was DJing in a club, not going to say the name or the city.
Yeah.
And a guy comes up to him and says, play Little Dirk. And he goes, I got you. And he goes, don't make me come back. And he goes, I got you. He goes, trust me, don't make me come back. And Eric's like, what am I doing?
Yeah, you play Little Dirk.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You have clear
Press play.
instructions.
No, he was questioning his career choice. He's like, what am I?
I'm telling you, bro, it just changed. It just, the energy is different.
Yeah. And he said that particular venue couldn't even hire security because security didn't want to work, which I also thought was crazy. Because people were probably on their stimmy, not wanting to go back to work.
I mean, I was driving the other day going back to my house, driving down Hollywood Boulevard. And there was long story short, I pulled up on what looked like two people who had ran into each other. It was a woman who ran into a group of men. And the men, it looked like literally were like wrestled her phone from her hand, chucked it down Hollywood Boulevard, were grabbing her. She was screaming. People were running out from the restaurants and bars to stop them. The cops came flying up. Everyone's like, go, chase him. The guy takes off in his car. Like, on my way home, I'm just like, this is
what time of the day was this?
It was probably over the weekend. It was probably Saturday at, not that late, but maybe 10 at the latest. And and it just feels to me like every time I go out like into like the party zone, it's just a little weirder and like a little turned up a notch than what it ever was.
So what about the pandemic led to fighting?
You're just pent
up aggression, man.
Yeah.
I think you're pissed. I think you feel, everyone's a little bitter about the whole COVID thing, like whether you got done wrong or maybe you spent the whole year with your kids and you hate them now, or maybe your wife or whatever. And I think you're just pissed. And
you're like, I survived COVID. I could survive a fist fight.
That too, probably. You're like, I'm invincible. I just think people are pissed. Politics have been tough. COVID was tough. It was tough on everyone. And now it's like everyone can just go back out into the street. Your alcohol tolerance is low. You've been watching YouTubers fight each other and you're like, let's get it.
Yeah.
Who wants these hands?
I mean, I think that's just going to be a function of the foreseeable future, that this aggression and like confidence, I guess it's also confidence.
For sure.
I'm going to take your phone. I'm going to do this.
Yep.
I'm going to do that.
You're very entitled.
Yeah.
There's a great TikTok I saw today in Dublin, Ireland. A white guy is harassing an Asian shopkeeper. And
I watched this.
The Asian shopkeeper is probably in his 60s. Knocked
him out.
30-year-old guy cold.
Yeah. Just caught him.
Yeah.
That looked like a guaranteed win by the white guy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Good for that dude.
And he tried like a few times, the white guy.
Yeah. Yep.
And then finally the old guy was like, I'm done with this.
That's why fighting's so incredible.
Yeah.
One good shot.
Yeah.
It's over.
He was laid out.
You never know who to bet on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Good.
Those two should get in the ring. That's a fight.
I agree. Rematch. Winner fights Sons of Four. Okay, so cruise is going to be hot. Bring your boxing gloves. What about, we are fresh off of Amazon Prime Day.
Yep.
Are the numbers in?
So Amazon Prime Day usually happens around this time every year, late June, early July.
Okay.
Last year it happened in, I think, October.
Mm-hmm.
It was delayed because of COVID. And, you always hear blockbuster numbers, biggest ever, 50 trillion, whatever.
Uh-huh.
You didn't hear that this year.
Yeah.
The only thing you really heard was they purchased more than 250 million items. They are saying that there is growth from 2019, but it did not feel like there was much growth from 2020. And they don't really disclose a lot. And I'm sure the number was still enormous compared to 2019. But
normally you would hear about it.
Yeah, the way they're positioning it is they said 250 million items were sold, which represents a 20% 2-year compounded annual growth rate from 175 million items sold in Prime Day 2019. But likely limited growth versus 2020. So is it because it was too fast? Is it because people are actually now back in stores? Is there a lack of newness?
I just think everybody's spending right in this moment on getting out of the house.
Yeah.
Like, I think everyone is so focused on dinner, clubs, whatever your version of that is.
Whatever that is, yeah. Bowling.
And fist fighting.
Yeah.
That like the idea of like sitting on the computer and ordering something to come to your house just right now in this moment is not.
Yeah, I don't
hot.
think it's I don't think it's gratifying for the consumer to buy something on Amazon Prime Day like it was in previous years. And I think the fact that, you know, potentially their sales were soft. We also got a report last week that said May retail sales were actually down.
Yeah.
So we hear the consumer is very, very strong, but in these categories, they're not. It is a little soft. So,
but look at cruise lines.
Cruise line.
Like, I think that's the thing.
Yeah, I think it is travel.
It's a reallocation of spending.
Yeah.
To experiences and.
I think it's a moment. I think the same way everyone was like, oh my God, look at like Zoom usage and blah, 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 like back in spring of last year. It's just that's what's happening. I don't know. To me, it doesn't seem like anything long term to even really draw from it. It's like it's essentially been winter for the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Everywhere, no matter where you live. And now it just became summer again. And so everyone's like, fuck it, I'm going to be outside, I think.
Yeah. I think anecdotally, that's definitely right. But I'm also curious to see the same exact goods and brands on Amazon Prime Day versus physical retail stores during the same period selling those same goods, right? And is it like comparable where at retail business is just out of control strong right now?
Wait, say that again? The last part?
Meaning that if you compared what's happening on Amazon Prime Day, the goods, the brands, the products, versus what this, because it's the same shit being sold everywhere.
Right.
So like,
so you're saying it's working in retail and it's not working.
So I'm curious if is it at physical retail, is it just booming right now? And that's where sales are.
You also have to believe just kind of psychologically that once most people are like out and about now in a given day, when you're home all day, you just start buying random shit because you don't even think about it. Like, oh yeah, this looks cool. I should buy this little cleaner when you don't really need it. And that's probably like an element of it.
And I think all these online places, especially obviously Amazon, are so good at like marketing that you're just in the stream. Like you're at your computer, you're getting hit all the time, blah, blah, blah. And then when you take a couple nights off because you're out with your friends, you sort of just are out of the loop.
Yeah.
You know, it feels, I mean, look, your mom came to our event the other night instead of whatever she would have been doing. My parents are at the beach right now for a week. Like I think literally everyone is just more focused on dinner, trips, stuff like that. Even if you're just looking at a trip you might take this summer because now you can think about it, you're maybe being a little tighter with money on how you're spending. I have to believe that winter, it all balances back out. Like I think this holiday has to be record-breaking, like for how you would expect. In the same places you would expect.
Yeah, and I think actually the same for back to school. I think back to school is going to be so big for young people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because like, think about it. Like most kids, especially on the coast, have not gone back to school.
Just wore the same sweatpants for the last year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I think back to school, which affects electronics, obviously apparel, footwear, but I expect that to be pretty strong.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, we'll see what happens. It's exciting though. Okay, we have to, look, it wouldn't be group chat if we didn't talk about the hottest topic. And listen, we go through phases, okay? We had a Jeff Bezos phase. Kanye phase. We go through heavy phases. And our phase right now just happens to be our hottest topic, which is work from home or not.
Yep.
Let's talk about, well, I do want to say this. After our episode the other day where we started talking about like therapy and stuff like that, I called up a therapist friend and he just had a way more mature or way more like therapist angle on essentially what we're saying, but also taking into consideration the other people's example. So the thought is this, which I agree with, is there's just a separation happening. So the people that actually do add an incredible amount of value and learn that they can add that value from home have newfound leverage. And they can go to their boss and say, yo, I'm going to offer the same amount of value. I'll come into the office once a week. And the boss won't be able to really let that person go.
Yeah.
But all the people who think that they have that leverage or maybe just have anxiety disguised as leverage are absolutely going to be left behind. And it will be a very big problem.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. Some people are confusing themselves. Like even some of these Apple employees that are all up in arms, they might actually be so good that Apple might have to cave on some of them.
Yeah, I agree.
But some of them they won't. And the people who are like maybe at like smaller, everyday jobs who think that they're those people are going to be rudely surprised.
I agree with that. My point was merely the market will determine if you get to work from home or not. And
when your own I think what you bring to the table will determine it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in most jobs, if it can be done work from home, then as an employer, the world is your oyster. And if the world is your oyster, you can get someone potentially smarter, hungrier, and cheaper in another country.
Yeah.
And that to me is the biggest challenge. And I'm not saying it doesn't work for all jobs, but there are jobs that it does impact.
Yeah.
And it's insane because I've gone on so many like wormhole comments, either on our stuff or on other people's stuff about work from home.
Yeah.
But people are so angry about going back in the office.
Yeah.
And then whenever I talk to any of my peers, like even my cousin who works at IMF, she's like, I can't wait to go back to work.
Yeah.
She's like, I want to have lunch in the park.
Yeah.
I want to break from my house, break from my kids.
Yeah.
Like, just thinking about like, and she was like, I don't think I'll go every single day, but like 4 days a week, 3 days a week, and flexibility. I'm with the flex schedule. I enjoy that too. I just don't know why when I see the comments, I'm never going back.
Yeah.
I mean, never?
I don't know. Just go fight then.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
I mean, you're going to have to.
You better be hot on TikTok if you want to go back to work.
100%. And look, I don't want to just rack up more DMs or bore anyone, but the reason why we brought it up is because Morgan Stanley is another place that now, all these people are slowly like having to kind of publicly address it.
Yeah.
Morgan Stanley's CEO has said that that's fine.
Yeah.
You want to work from home, that's an option. But if you do that, you're absolutely going to be looking at pay cuts.
So the statement he said is, you want to get paid like a New York City banker, then you're going to live in New York City.
Yeah.
And everyone better get their ass back to the office by Labor Day.
Yeah. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Look, for them, and that's the other thing is you can run your business however you want.
Yeah. And so you don't have to work for Morgan Stanley.
Yeah.
And if they lose talent because of it, they're okay with that.
Yeah. It'll work itself out.
That's what I'm saying. The market will fix itself.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, I don't believe that.
Free market.
It is a free market. And I guarantee you, there are, I know a lot of investment bankers. Trust me, they want to be back in the office. They like that. It's in their blood.
Yeah, they want that LA JFK first class American Airlines flight.
Yeah.
Get that Sunday after the meal.
Just get in there around that other testosterone.
Yeah. Suck down
rob
6 drinks
some
before it
people.
takes off.
Yeah.
And then cruise right into the Four Seasons or Ritz-Carlton Battery Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom.
I mean, I'll tell you, literally today we had people in the office because we're starting to do that a little bit. And like, it's just when you're doing anything even slightly creative, and creative doesn't mean fucking painting, right? Like even coming up with a business plan is creative.
Yeah.
It's just so much better in person.
Yeah.
And there's even like, I'm probably guilty of this too, so I'm not calling anyone out, but like there are people, and I would say most, who just don't translate well on video. Like you just might come off kind of, like I probably do it. You probably come off kind of cold or kind of short or kind of whatever. Cause I'm just bored. I'm just sitting there talking to a screen.
Yeah.
But in person, it's like, oh my gosh, I love working with that person.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so fun. There's all these intangibles that you can't put on paper of like, what was your productivity today?
Yeah.
That's so nice.
Yeah. And I've gotten so many DMs about this.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the biggest opportunity for people to show up.
Yeah.
And the people who don't are going to just complain and get bitter.
That's a good way
why
to
they
look at it.
didn't advance in their career.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what, that's why he said even in the last episode, this is not my rules of society. This is how it's going to go down.
What's the word?
Propinquity.
Yeah.
It's a good word. That word's been in my head all week. Okay. I agree. Across the board, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it all ages.
Yeah.
We'll know all of it. Truth will come out in time.
Look at new guy shows up twice. Bootsy.
Did you make it into Bootsy?
Yeah.
Went in.
Another Bootsy night.
He showed up with a bag.
Yeah.
He just has a bag on.
He's got the Jake Paul bag.
So I just want to say for all the listeners who have only been listening, new guy showed up to Soho with like a button down, half unbuttoned with a chain showing.
Yeah.
And then showed up today with like a sweater, some sort of sweater, like preppy vibe, maybe a little Kanye early 2000s, and he has like a bag just around his shoulder,
A little crossbody bag.
that's just hanging all the time.
What's in your bag?
What's in your purse?
Crackers?
No, 'cause there's cologne, deodorant, chapstick, my cards, headphones, and a charger.
Is it just in case you
Pretty good assortment.
go out at night and have to stay here?
Well, no, it's just what I bring into the office every day.
Just have on-demand deodorant.
Or no, that was
And
because
cologne.
of yesterday, or that was because of Bootsy. I just left it in there, didn't take it out.
Good spread, man. Good bag.
Thanks. It's
Okay.
$20 bag.
Well, there's new guy. Next up, big news in the QAnon and the conspiracy and
QAnon.
whatever world. John McAfee,
Yeah.
the creator of McAfee antivirus software. Also, for the listener, I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. If you haven't, I would strongly recommend, even if you don't care about this story at all, there's a documentary about him called Gringo. It is insane. He is a very interesting guy.
Yep.
He has passed away.
Yep.
They are saying he was in a jail or a prison in Spain. They're saying he committed suicide. Now, apparently, of course, there's a lot here.
Yep.
I didn't realize, Anand just told me, because he's also a big tattoo guy now, that
I'm a big tattoo or John.
Both are.
you're stacking them up.
Yeah.
You told me that he had a tattoo that said like, I'm not going to kill myself.
Yeah, he pretty much said, you'll never find me killing myself.
So if I ever
I forget the
die and
exact-
they ever
yeah.
say suicide, someone killed me.
So in October 15th of last year, he wrote, because he's been in Barcelona in a prison
What
for tax evasion.
Oh yeah, and he was going to get extradited.
Extradited to
Got
America. That was the goal. And it said, he tweeted out, "I am content in here. I have friends. The food is good. All is well. Know that if I hang myself, a la Epstein, it will be no fault of mine."
Wow.
He was found hanging in a Barcelona prison.
Doesn't this seem like a bit of an oversight by if someone were to murder him to be like, yeah, we got a couple things we got to avoid here.
Yeah.
Can't hang the guy.
Yeah. And I think, and then on top of that, on his Instagram, which has now been taken down,
Yeah.
and it's being called a shit post by a QAnon expert, was a Q. So on his Instagram, posted a Q.
He posted a Q.
Yes.
Yeah, he has a tattoo that says, "If I suicide myself, I didn't. I was whacked."
Now, let me just say this. If you are a kind of off the wall dude and you wanted to just put everyone in a tizzy,
Yeah.
you could post out a Q and then commit suicide.
So I followed him on Twitter for years. He's like legitimately crazy.
Yeah.
So he was like floating around on a boat and
Yeah.
would just like
Big crypto guy, though.
huge crypto guy.
Yeah.
Huge crypto guy.
And he even was early on all the privacy issues of tech. I mean, he was early tech. And in 2013, 2014, there's all these conferences of him talking about, you have no idea what big tech is doing with your data and privacy issues. And then everyone just called him crazy.
Yeah.
That's the problem with when you're a genius. It's like you teeter on that line of crazy and
But it's even like Alex Jones. I'm not saying he's a genius, but
Yeah.
like the problem is he's been right a couple times.
yeah.
You know, like he was right about Jeffrey Epstein. He was right about like Bohemian Grove or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever, these different things. That's like just enough.
To give you the confidence.
The
to-
dead clock's right 2 times a day.
Yeah, like it's enough to build an online audience.
Yeah.
You know, all you need is a couple to hit. Like QAnon has trouble hitting.
Well, it's
right?
like Nouriel Roubini, who's a famous economist
Mm-hmm.
who predicted the crash in 2008.
Yeah. So now you're a genius forever.
And now
it's like every early Uber investor.
Every prediction he's made subsequently has been wrong.
Yeah. You've said it. Like every early Uber investor is
Yes.
forever an investing genius.
Yes.
Now.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, do we have an opinion here? Because I don't know enough about.
I just don't know what dirt he would have had for them to kill him. Like the obvious like conspiracy theory is they just killed him because they don't want him to keep talking. And so I guess forget if he even had dirt. It's more like, do you want this guy who's definitely off his rockers in a U.S. court just saying crazy shit,
Yeah.
whether it's true or not?
Yeah.
Because he would have gone nuts. Can you imagine this guy on the stand? I followed him on Twitter. The dude's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine what our friends over at TikTok are thinking in their videos on talking about what led to this. Because now every connection to
Was it big on TikTok already?
I'm guessing by tonight it
Yeah,
will be.
yeah, I got to tune in.
Yeah, and then they're gonna find
search John
weird.
Malkovich.
That's it, one time, and you'll get it for a month.
Yeah, they'll find all these weird connections to interesting people and tie the bow on why
Sure.
this happened.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know, man. Wasn't he like connected to like a murder or something?
Yeah,
Like he was living in like Puerto Rico and like that was
I
He
think
was
that's what
definitely in
Gringo.
Puerto Rico.
That's what like Gringo was all, right?
And then
Yeah.
he just like set off sail. And I don't know how he got
Just landed in
apprehended.
Spain, fucking Christopher Columbus, backwards. Okay, so I don't know. We'll let the internet do
Yeah.
their thing here, and then we will tune in. Dee, big news for you. Complete topic jump. I just wanted to. I mean, I'm guessing it has to be your favorite movie, maybe of the year so far.
Yeah.
Is out.
Yep.
I know you don't go to theaters, so I'm guessing you'll be tuning in around September.
On his way to New York Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Let's put it on the plane.
Yeah, literally, that'll be like what, March of 2022. You'll get it on Delta.
With no sound effects. It's a shitty screen.
Shitty earbuds. F9, Fast and Furious 9 is out. I'm guessing blockbuster record numbers.
So I think it technically debuts Friday, which is tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm sure it's in theaters tonight.
Yeah, tonight. Midnight show is on.
But what are we basing our numbers on?
But they've
Pre-order?
actually done like
Pre-sales.
they've leaked the Friday leaks into like Thursday 6 p.m.
Yeah, it's like Black Friday.
I mean, I think there was already select theaters that already had it. I'll give you some numbers.
Okay.
It already has 300 million in ticket sales, including more than 200 million in John Cena's China.
Yeah, John Cena had to learn Mandarin. He got 200 million.
For real. For real. Yeah, that was a $200 million apology.
So is that I'm reading this. 300 is 200 of the 300
Yeah,
China?
yeah. Of
Okay,
the
so
opening.
200 of the 300?
66% of the.
So that was a $200 million apology.
It was worth it. $200
spoke
million.
Mandarin really well.
Opening week.
I mean, you know what those numbers, he didn't even have a say.
Yeah.
The U.S. arm was like, learn it.
Yeah.
Here's fucking Rosetta Stone.
But yeah, I mean, I think
It was released internationally last month. But in the US, it's released Friday.
last month or last week.
It says the film, which debuts Friday domestically, was released internationally last month.
Whatever happened to America First?
John Cena, bro.
I'm telling you, man. He
How
knew.
the hell did he learn Mandarin that quickly?
He's been prepping for this moment for years.
Yeah.
That was flawless.
Yeah, it was flawless. It was flawless.
Yeah, I'm guessing the numbers in America this weekend is going to be bonkers.
I think they panicked so much because even though the US, it's going to be the number one movie, there's still restrictions, I believe. in
For sure.
theaters. Like you can't
Definitely in some.
you can't pack, full theaters, and a lot have gone out of business.
Yep.
So John Cena saved the day.
You saved the day.
Vin Diesel calls John like, you better speak that shit.
It's your turn, bro. You take this.
All he said was Taiwan, by the way.
Yeah.
No. Mm-mm. You better start learning Mandarin. Huh?
That was T.
Question, is iPic open in LA or do they went bankrupt? Just trying to.
Were they owned by ArcLight?
No, but remember they
No.
separately, I think, filed for bankruptcy.
No, iPic's open.
Okay.
Someone told me
Might
you
have
could
been
do
Chapter
like
11.
a matinee show there or something.
Okay, now this is, I don't even want to call this a conspiracy because now it's true, but I think it was thought of maybe as a conspiracy, like, I don't know, for me up until now, kind of. But this is the type of conspiracy I am super into, and that is Free Brit.
Insane. So, like the transcripts of her,
Britney Spears, for the record.
Britney Spears, of like her, I guess her conservatorship that's been going on, kind of leaked, or I don't know if it came out.
There was an audio. I heard the audio.
Oh,
Yeah, I
you
heard
heard the
that
audio.
Because it was like it sounded like she was like on Zoom or something talking to the judge.
And sounded pretty coherent.
Yeah. I think they drug her.
Yeah.
I really do. I think because I don't get it. Like, even if you have some sort of like, mental health struggles or whatever, like some of her videos and stuff where she seems very incoherent, it just doesn't make sense. Why would a healthy...
Yeah.
So I did some reading on this, and that Conservatorship is basically like you prove to a judge that this person's disabled and can't make decisions.
Yep.
And the bar is really low.
Really?
The bar is like you need like help with like a speaking device and you can get put into conservatorship. It's like,
What do you mean a speaking device?
meaning like you can't communicate properly and like
you have a disorder or something?
Yeah, sure. And it's like you don't speak properly.
Yep. But
Doesn't mean you
think
don't
totally
understand.
properly.
You could write. Correct?
Yeah, that's sketchy.
Even if you can't speak and you're capable of writing, that's communication still. So then the stat I saw was that in the US currently there's $50 billion under assets under conservatorship.
Wow.
It just seems ripe for scamming.
Yeah.
Think about all the old people.
Oh, yeah. And Spears said she lied the last time she was in court when she said that she was happy. She tells the judge, now I'm telling the truth. Okay, I'm not happy. I'm so angry. It's insane. And I'm depressed and I cry every day. Wow.
So I think the bar, I mean, it's ripe for just embezzlement, right?
Yep.
The bar's so low to convince a judge that this person's disabled and you can take over the fortune.
What was that show? Wasn't it a show or a movie or whatever that you recommended that was about?
I
I care a lot.
Yeah.
That's good.
Seems like you can I care a lot, like all different. I mean, elderly seems the easiest, but like, what about all sorts of like people who have inherited money or whatever who are.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy to me. This feels like something that would happen like in the 80s. Like the fact that Britney Spears might be being held captive.
It's crazy. And it's clearly it's her father.
Yep.
And she says that my dad was all for it. Anything that happened to me had to be approved by my dad. Wild.
This is wild. What happens here? I think she gets out.
Yeah, I
think she gets out. Justin Timberlake came out in support of Britney.
Where you been, Justin?
Yeah, Justin.
I mean,
took long enough.
Cry me a river.
For real. Build a bridge and get over it. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is my forecast. I think she gets out.
I learned all about it. I mean, I've been hearing about it, but I kind of dove in deep. And Amanda's really following it closely.
Did you guys watch the documentary?
Yeah,
the Hulu
it's
thing?
incredible.
No.
You gotta watch it. Amanda didn't watch it?
I don't know if she has.
You have to watch it.
It's so good.
It's good.
It's on
look,
Hulu.
get her out. I think get her out. Take a couple years off because I think that's what she said she wanted. She wants a couple years to just relax. Totally fine. I'd love to hear a podcast.
Yeah.
If you're interested, Brittany.
She should go on Rogan.
Go on Rogan. And line up some shows.
Yeah, go put an album. Get the gang back
It's
together.
called Free Britney.
Yeah.
And it's all about her being free now.
Yeah. Could make for a great comeback.
How does this happen? How do we let this happen? How do you let one of the biggest stars ever be literally just be kidnapped by her dad?
You know what the problem, specifically with the Britney Spears, because of the age that she became famous, her parents always had the control.
Yeah. And
that's a scary thing about, when your child is the breadwinner.
Yeah.
And you rely on them, and I'm guessing Britney Spears' dad loved the Hollywood LA life.
For sure.
Or loved the $60 million in assets she has.
Yeah, obviously loves that, but they took advantage of just her situation. And it's crazy, she has siblings, right? She has a sister.
She has a little sister, yeah.
I mean, where's the mother? Where's everybody? Is everyone just eating off Britney, so they're just all keeping their mouth shut?
I mean,
believe yes.
We've been through the court system just in cases for the company. Like I've been on the stand and the judge has been asleep. So
and
literally, legitimately asleep.
Yeah.
While I was getting deposed.
I'll tell you what, the court system and the healthcare system is wild.
Wild.
Okay, well, free Brit, and hopefully, I think we're on the verge of a big breakthrough here.
Yep.
Okay, here's my next question, and we'll end the news with this, and then we'll get to winners, losers, content. But what I really thought for a minute there, Andrew Yang is next up.
Yang Gang?
Yang Gang. I thought, number one, so didn't make the whole president thing happen. Maybe that's not the job for you. But, I thought he would still really thrive.
Yep.
And that's not what happened over in New York.
So they had the mayoral primaries and on Tuesday, and the final results are not out yet, but Yang Gang got clobbered.
Clobbered?
He came in fourth. Do
you think it's because his whole idea already happened? It's sort of your whole thing was UBI, and then we just got it for the last year. So
So
It's old news.
I think in the case of New York City, the number one issue for New York City, this is based on their voting, is crime.
Yep.
That the candidate that won is the Brooklyn Borough President, Eric Adams. He is anti-crime. He wants to
Law and order.
law and order.
Yeah.
He's I'm sure he's a Democrat, but he believes that is the biggest thing plaguing the city.
That's interesting. A law and order Democrat.
Yeah, and if you're not, think about it from a citizen standpoint. If you don't feel safe, then your city is useless to you.
Yeah, you can't. It's like you can't start.
You can't even start on anything else. We can't talk about UBI. We can't talk about education if you're afraid to walk outside your house.
Yeah.
And crime in New York City is through the roof. And the second person that's in second place still is Maya Wiley, and she's a defund the police progressive.
Wow. I mean, talk about two different approaches here.
Exactly. And so I think
And she beat Yang.
yeah, she beat Yang.
So Yang is just social media, doesn't represent what the real world is.
I mean, look, it looks that way. I don't know how else to explain it. Because if you're telling me also that even right now with all the crime and stuff in New York, even a defund the police message person still beat the Yang, that's tough to.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, I don't even think you can get to Yang's policy because you don't feel safe. Like, that is just flat out. That's the problem.
He tried to go on the protect the community route in the end of the campaign. So last week, there's videos of him saying, like, if you can't even walk outside in your neighborhood, what are we doing here?
Yeah, but I just feel like he's just known for UBI. And I felt like, to be honest, in 2019, that was like very valid, top of everyone's mind. And now it's just not.
Yeah.
It's so hard to switch your, like, what you stand for.
But I think the fact that the tough on crime candidate won in New York City.
Yeah, Eric Adams, he's a former NYPD captain who is now saying he's the face of the Democratic Party because he's tough on crime but still has progressive values. And I mean, just you talk to in private to a lot of friends that we all have that are left leaning in LA can't stand what's going on.
Yeah.
In terms of crime, in terms of not being able to go out safely,
Yep.
in terms of feeling unsafe when you do anything, daytime, nighttime,
Yep.
that is universal,
Yep.
regardless of political party.
Yeah, I totally agree. But it's weird to me, though, that the second place was defund the police. Like,
Right.
if you live in New York and you're still on some, like, defund the police stuff now,
Look, New York City is a young place. And so
I know, it feels overwhelming. Like, to me, it feels like the increase of danger in these major cities feels like unavoidable.
yeah.
Like, you can't not feel it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I think it's like the topic you hear in every time you're with anybody now.
Yeah.
No matter what city you're in.
Oh, yeah. Every conversation, if you're catching up with friends, the first thing that comes up after like just initial like
Bullshit,
greetings,
yeah.
bullshit,
Yeah.
is like, did you hear what happened here? Did you hear what happened there?
Yeah.
I literally just heard a story 2 days ago. A friend, I'll tell you guys after, but a friend was eating at a very well-known restaurant in LA, very close to here, and left in his nice car with his girlfriend and got followed all the way home and got pinned by 2 SUVs and 4 guys with guns, robbed all their stuff.
No way.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Crazy. But I hear those pretty frequently.
Yeah, it's not uncommon.
No.
Fund the police.
I mean, sheesh. Anywho, all right. Well, Yang, I mean, hopefully, whatever. I mean, once again, start a podcast, you know?
Yeah. Just be a
He's a
personality.
nice guy. He's cool.
Yeah.
But I just don't think, I think unfortunately, his message didn't align with what everyone's feeling.
Well, let me tell you something. To learn if you're a Democrat, you better pick up anti-crime messaging
Yep.
in this next midterm.
It's so obvious.
Yeah.
Every Democrat I know is scared of crime. And these are the most progressive people I know.
Yeah.
We're scared in Los Angeles of crime.
Yeah. So if you're a politician,
and New York and San Francisco.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, San Francisco.
You know, I mean.
Yeah.
so for Democrats to have a shot in the midterms, you really gotta lean in on anti-crime.
Yeah,
Defund
it
the
seems like
police might go down as one of the biggest layups, alley-oops to the Republican Party that we've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna make a joke. I was gonna make a joke, and I hit the line of I shouldn't make that because
the inner dialogue that the microphone didn't pick up there.
I'll just say yes. No, I think you're totally right. I think any of the whenever things start to get a little wacky, I think those are all ripe for the Republican Party.
Yep.
Okay, let's go to winners losers content.
Yes.
Dee, who's your winner of the last week?
My winner is Kenya. I don't know yet. I haven't decided, but there's two people in this conversation.
Do you want to choose both, or you want a winner?
I don't. You guys can help me pick the winner.
Okay.
Kenya Barris is leaving Netflix.
Okay.
Apparently, he had a $100 million deal on the table.
Okay.
He's saying that he can't be edgy enough on Netflix.
Okay.
And he's now launching like a record label. He's launching a film division, a TV division. He's doing stuff with BET.
If I was at HBO, I'd put up the whatever.
I think he's copping out of Netflix and saying that I can't do in-your-face things. But the reality is maybe he didn't structure the deal he wanted, and he's using that as a cop-out to go do... Because you can't do anything on BET that you can't do on Netflix.
Yeah, I think you got to go to like HBO Showtime.
Yeah, and if you really want to be truly edgy, and I think he just probably realized the type of deal he signed didn't allow him to do certain things or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a cop-out to say that Netflix does edgy people are saying Netflix is down the middle, easy. But Netflix does have edgy content
But
too.
not like HBO, right? They don't show like boobs and like people doing drugs and stuff, right?
I mean, they got crazy movies and shit like that they produce.
So. I don't think they have like...
I don't think there's Netflix originals that have nipples in them.
Netflix at night.
Nipple flicks.
Yeah.
Nipflix.
So they don't have any racy sex stuff?
I don't think so. I mean, when I picture it, I don't picture that. But like, for instance, I started watching Billions again the other night, and there's like boobs and coke and stuff.
I mean, Narcos is wild as fuck.
I don't know. I think it was actually kind of tame for a show about Pablo. I don't know. I don't.
There was drugs, there was shooting, there's cursing.
Was there
I think drama's point is nudity.
It's just nipples.
I think nipples are where I draw the line. Maybe Kenya.
That just makes you edgier if you have nipples.
I just think there's a more grittiness to those networks of what they allow.
It's just nipples though.
How do you get out of a deal like that? I mean, he signed a $100 million deal probably over 4 years?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what what's the clause?
Just lets you leave?
The no nipple clause?
Yeah.
You're nope, sorry, I'd like to.
I think he used the angle of like, I'm being held creatively, and that's how you're...
And Netflix just lets you out with no consequence?
Maybe the threat of the press.
Yeah, Netflix has to be kind of producer, creator friendly, right?
Yeah.
Like they can't have that.
It's interesting. I'd love to know. It's too little information for me to judge, but I'd love to know
what actually happened.
Yeah, because there's a lot of room for
when I saw that, I was like, why would he leave that? It's like unless he found bigger money somewhere else, which I'm sure he could.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so who's your other competitor?
No, I didn't know if Netflix won here or Kenya Barris won.
Yep, I don't either. We got to find out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Maybe one of our inside info people will be able to shed some more light.
Yeah.
Anand?
Crypto.
You know what, man? Not funny.
In a time where everyone's shitting on crypto because it corrected over the last month or two, Andreessen Horowitz just raised $2.2 billion for a new crypto fund that they're closing right now. To put that in context, I think their first fund was like for crypto only. This is completely separate from investing in Instacart and all those types of companies. This is just crypto focused. Their crypto focused funds, I think, started out at like $300 million in 2017, 18, and then $900 million, now $2.2 billion. And relative to tech investing, that puts just a crypto-focused fund larger than most, if not all, technology-focused growth funds that invest in the private space. So you might have, Sequoia probably has more, Tiger has a $6 billion fund, but you're talking sub 5 to 7 firms that just invest in technology type companies. So the next Uber, Instacart, and this is just focused on crypto.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So if that's not like a positive sign for the space, I think the signaling's pretty clear.
Okay. All right, man. I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
I'll hodl. Right? Hodl.
Hodl.
All right.
Hodl.
Diamond
Say
hand
whatever you want.
to the moon.
How good is it? That was just a typo and it stuck.
I love it. My winner. Did we talk about Jon Stewart?
We did one episode.
Yeah. Well, he's whatever. He's my winner. When he went on Stephen Colbert and did like his whole like comedic rant on the Wuhan Lab Leak. What I miss, I think more than anything, like is just like you kind of see in that moment how much like a Stephen Colbert has become like so safe.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't work when you're trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And Jon Stewart saying something that really wasn't that risky, like came off as like, oh my gosh, and you could see Stephen Colbert be like a little jammed up. So just props to Jon Stewart. I feel like he always did that well. And
he's great.
Yeah, I wish he would come back and make some more regular content too.
So the take on, I think both Joe Rogan and the All In Pod had on the Jon Stewart bit was not only that it was super entertaining and obviously like leading towards accurate information, was how nervous Stephen Colbert got.
Yeah.
Because he has a woke show.
Yeah.
And you're not allowed to say this on a woke show.
Yeah.
And he was like panicking. You can see in the clip.
Yeah.
He's getting super nervous because it's a theory that the woke and progressives don't accept.
Yeah.
And you have a progressive in Jon Stewart like screaming that this is the right theory.
And you just can't be like that. At the end of the day, Stephen Colbert is a comedian.
Yeah.
Right? Just like us. Yeah. And so as a fellow comedian, once you get there, you're dead.
Yeah.
You can't go there. You can't be you can't be beholden to any group.
Yeah. It's true.
I live by that. I take this very serious. Okay, what about losers? You got a loser?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but that building collapse in fucking Miami is just horrific.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's bad.
Why did a building collapse?
Unclear.
It said it passed inspection. They said the wing of the building. It's a 11-story tower just north of Miami Beach in Surfside, Florida.
Okay, and
it just collapsed to the ground.
Like with people in it?
Yeah, there's like 100 people missing still.
You can see it on Twitter everywhere.
Yeah, it's a residential.
Jeez. Okay. Well, that's insane.
Insane, and it like when you think about like construction and how like delicate construction is.
Here we are on the 11th floor of a relatively old building.
Yeah, and it's just scary that these things could even happen.
Yeah. I think about that with the earthquakes, like whenever there's earthquakes in a building, it's so sketchy.
Yeah, it really sways.
And if you look it up, it's like, oh, it's the safest place to be, but it does not feel like it, man.
Well, because they intentionally make buildings swing.
Yeah.
So it feels even scarier.
Oh, after those couple we had like a year ago or whatever, anytime I was in here or whatever, I just felt sketchy.
Yeah. I think, look, whoever was inspecting these buildings and letting it pass or construction, whatever it is, this is going to be, a disaster.
Insane.
This is very, very sad.
Okay. That's a good one for a loser. Anand?
Yeah, and in line with that, I think what's going to happen, because Miami was seen as this place where permitting is done quickly. We're going to build housing. We're going to build buildings for offices and jobs and all this. And then you have this catastrophe happen. And the loser's basically like a state like California, which you can't build anything.
Yeah.
They're just going to be like, look, we're right.
Yeah.
Look, they just run past inspections, blah, 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 to get things permitted and a building collapsed.
Yeah.
And not to say that's the right way to think about it, like let's slow down permitting.
Yeah.
But I feel like states like California, who are so restrictive in allowing stuff to get built and saying that their inspections are the right way, and they're just gonna use this as like fodder to.
But we can't build a house?
Right.
Can't build a 1-story house? You're passing these things? Okay. I'm actually out of a loser this week. I couldn't think of anyone, so just props to everyone for winning.
Okay.
Everything's good.
Yeah, it's great.
What's your content recommendation?
So obviously it's Fast 9. If you're going to go,
But
hit
you
the
won't
theaters.
see it for a year.
No, I won't see it. But,
But you just want to still rep it because you're that much of a fan.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, I'm sure, a link will show up in my inbox of the movie.
Yes.
I'm confident that will happen.
Good point. So you'll be watching it this weekend.
I hope so.
Yep.
That's my plan. And the other thing,
Watching like an iPhone videotaping the theater.
Totally.
that's all I need.
Yeah, it's
I don't
fine.
need surround sound and all that fancy stuff.
It's just as good as the airplane.
And then there's an article going around of how Peter Thiel made like $5 billion in a Roth IRA. And I haven't read the article yet, but so many people have sent it to me. And
I haven't read it, but I think it's just that his initial investment from Facebook was through Roth IRA. I'm like 99% sure.
I thought there was a cap on Roth IRA.
Yeah, it's a $6,000 cap.
He definitely invested however he put that first $500,000 into Facebook that is now worth billions and billions of dollars was through one of these tax advantage accounts. That I know for a fact.
So you found a loophole.
Yeah, this was like 20 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
But he clearly just found a loophole because Roth IRA is standard. You can only put a certain amount in every year.
Yeah.
From my knowledge, so that means there's some sort of loophole there.
So yeah, he 20 years ago in 1999, it was worth less than $2,000.
All right. Well, now I'm extra confused.
I haven't read it.
Okay. Well, we'll read it.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll read it, and that'll be our content for ourselves, and we'll report on it next week.
Sounds good.
Okay. Anand?
My content's obvious. The Joe Rogan podcast with Brett Weinstein and Dr. Corey talking about COVID-19. I thought I was done listening to COVID content. And then just because Joe Rogan takes it very seriously in how he curates his episodes, I was like, it's COVID. There must be something interesting here. So it forced me to listen. And then when I heard Emergency Podcast, I was like, I'm all in.
Brett Weinstein, Dr. Pierre Corey. Okay. Got it loaded up. I navigated Spotify successfully. My content, I'm gonna go. Sorry for going back to the book land, but this is in the spirit of our live show last night because it's a book that Ian recommended, and it is incredible. Anand, I can't tell if you should 1,000,000% read it, or maybe you might know a lot of this, so it might be boring to you. But it's called The Bitcoin Standard, and it is. I'm not all the way through, so I can't give a full review. But for anyone out there who wants to, it's not about understanding necessarily, probably it talks about it, so I don't want to be early, but the blockchain and how all that works. It's about why a decentralized currency is important and how currency evolved from seashells to the gold standard, to off of the gold standard, to centralized banks, to what that means, to blah, 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 and why there is such room for a decentralized, the new gold, essentially. And why gold has lasted so long.
Yeah.
I didn't know that the reason why gold has lasted so long is because of all the very unique characteristics of gold itself. And just we've never found anything else that is matched how difficult it is to mine and how much of it exists in the world.
Yeah.
And so there's just you can't really avoid it. It's the best currency that we have in that sense. So anyway, it's incredible. It tells the whole history of currency and then leads you to why crypto is a viable option.
Wow.
Very cool.
It's great.
So thank you, Ian. I'm going to pass that recommendation along. Everyone should listen to it. I know a lot of our people are into crypto and stuff like that, and I think you'll feel a lot. It made me actually believe in crypto, actually believe in it
because you
personally,
understand
as opposed
to
believing in it because everyone else believes in it.
Yeah.
You're part of the army now.
Big crypto guy. Yeah. So listen,
John
guys.
McAfee.
Big John McAfee. Okay. Well, hopefully we have more updates on that next week as well. That's it. We got some shout outs?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do shout outs.
Before we get into shout outs, if you are interested in hanging out with us on Saturday at the Remedy Place in West Hollywood on Sunset, it's across from the Mondrian. We'll be there at 10:45 a.m. We're going to do a little run, and then we're all going to jump in ice baths and do an ice bath challenge. If you're interested, there is vendors, there'll be food, there'll be drinks. It's going to be a fun little get together. DM me or DM the Grand Running Club account with your name and your email address, and we'll register you for this. And you have to bring your own bathing suit and towel. So don't forget that. But it's going to be a fun little event. If you just want to run and hang out, you can also come and do that. Jason, are you going to do the ice bath challenge?
100%.
How
So
long?
it's a run, then the ice bath?
Yeah. So whoever stays the longest, we made some exclusive Melrose Place, Remedy Place gear, and then a bunch of other goodies.
I
From
feel
a
like
bunch of brands.
Jason will last the longest.
I don't know, man. It's
It's cold,
I might freeze in there.
so we'll see.
Are you going to do it?
It's a little late. I'll do the run.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll see everyone there. And obviously, we're all training for the Grand Running Club race that's happening on July 24th. If you want to do it virtually, you can sign up grandrunningclub.com, hit up the race section and sign up. You could sign up anywhere in the world and we'll help you train. We'll help you get through it. There's a 5K, 10K, and a half marathon. Or if you want to sign up to run in person, and where Jason's going to have to race me and Anand,
Yeah.
Double trouble.
double trouble. I'm going to do the half marathon. And I only got a month. I just realized I really need to kick up my training.
I'm only doing the 5K, so I can tire him out for you. So even if he beats me,
Yeah.
you win.
I'll have Tim just like tag in midway through.
What's your mile time? Did you ever say?
I don't have an exact mile time. I haven't.
He plays soccer. I'm kind of scared.
Soccer is endurance.
I have knee problems.
You're 21 years old. You can't have knee problems.
So that's my knees.
All right, let's get into the shout outs now. Out in Dubai, which I think we gave you a shout out for your 40th birthday last year. And you thought you were going to have a big party, but obviously COVID shut it down. But you're back. You're going to run it back. You're going to do a big party and you're DJing. So shout out to you for that. It looks like 200 people have registered to attend your party. So congratulations. It's going to be an insane 40th birthday. I would run it back as your 40th. I wouldn't tell anyone that you're turning 41. Just say 40 and have an incredible time. I'm sure Dubai is going to be wild this Saturday. So if you're out there, hit up Raj and I'm sure he'll show you a good time. The next shout out is to Josh LaRosa for his 23rd birthday coming up Saturday, the 26th. Been listening with his best friend since Short Story Long and now avid group chat listeners. And looks like they live out in Boston. And they were hoping to maybe even link up with Pete at one of the Costa Brava events.
Ah.
But, I don't know how friendly Pete is these days now that he's off the podcast, if he's hanging out with, regular folks again. But happy birthday, Josh, 23. That's a fun time. And yeah, go. I'm sure you're going to party your face off this weekend.
And Pete missed his birthday last year. That's what he said.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
shout-out. So happy birthday, and we apologize for
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
Happy birthday last year, too.
Happy birthday last year. So 22 and 23.
The next one's from Mikey to Michael Garrido and his wife, Catherine. They just had their first daughter named Sophie. Congratulations, guys. And Michael's from Nothing But Detailing. And him and his buddy Mikey have been fans from the beginning and wanted to give him and his wife a shout out. Congratulations, guys.
Mm-mm.
No more sleep and your life has changed. Best of luck. Anything else?
Nothing on my end.
All right, everyone. Have a great weekend. We will see you back here Sunday. Get out there. Go enjoy whatever city you live in. Enjoy the warm weather if you're fortunate to have that. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Keep running. Stay hydrated. That's it. See you guys on
Peace.
Sunday.